Morning, Deacon John here for the Blue Art Vicarious Schools video of the day. It's January 27th. Sorry I didn't have a video yesterday. It's one of those days where I got busy, but I'm glad to be with you here today. And we have some great holidays today. We have National Chocolate Cake Day, National Fun at Work Day. So that means since school is your work, you should have fun at school. And it's also Punch the Clock Day and National Preschool Health and Fitness Day. So it's time for those preschoolers to get down and out there and exercise. Now we have a really good story about a man in Emmett and how he was saved by his dog. Everybody have a great day.
Walked out of his Emmett County house to get another log for his fire. That's when he slipped and fell, injuring his neck. He laid in the snow in temperatures as low as 24 degrees for about 20 hours. His saving grace, his dog, Kelsey.
And Kelsey was licking him and barking and, pawing at him. I could see marks on his arm from her pawing at him.
Kelsey stuck with Bob the whole 20 hours, keeping him warm.
The last thing he remembers saying is telling Kelsey that he was so sorry that he tried as hard as he could, to stay alive. And he wasn't sure, by the end, when he remembers losing consciousness and kind of putting his head to the side and saying, I gave it all I could give it, and, that was it. And then we think about 1 hour later is when Rick came and found him.
His neighbor Rick came over to borrow some eggs when he found Bob passed out with his dog Kelsey by his side. Bob was brought to McLaren, northern Michigan, and immediately prepped for neurosurgery. Dr. Chaim Colin was in charge.
I don't think he would be living unless the dog were there. The dog kept him warm. The dog kept his extremities warm. He didn't have any frostbite. And it was 24 degrees that night.
After his successful surgery, Bob and his best friend Kelsey were reunited.
Right out of surgery, and she licked his face, and they were crying, and it was beautiful. It was everything that you would think the reunion would be.
In Emmett County, Connor Hansen, ABC 29 and
8. Here's a look at this day in history. January 27th.
In 1945, the Soviet Army reached Auschwitz and liberated the remaining 7,600 prisoners who had survived the Holocaust there. In 1967, a flash fire burst out in the Apollo 1 spacecraft, killing astronauts Gus Grissom, Edward White, and Roger Chaffee during a test. It was the end of the line for the telegram. Western Union delivered the last one on this day in 2006. And on this day in 1888, the National Geographic Society was formed. 33 well-traveled men assumed that sharing their experience of the world would benefit mankind. They had trouble getting their message out until they published a magazine. And once they incorporated photos, armchair travelers sat up and took notice. And that's this day.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for January 27th. Today we celebrate Saint Angela Merici. In a vision, today's saint was told she would one day found a religious community. Angela Merici drew on her deep faith and her natural leadership qualities to make it happen. Early in life, she was appalled at the ignorance among poor children in her rural Italian village, especially their lack of religious training. She took it upon herself to give regular instructions to the neighborhood girls. Angela continued her work after moving to the more industrial town of Brescia. There she was aided by women with similar ideals. At age 57, Angela organized a dozen young women to help her in catechetical work. Several years later, the group, which had grown to 28, became the Company of St. Ursula. Members continued to live at home, wore no special habit, and took no formal vows, though the early rule required they live lives of poverty, chastity, and obedience. After Angela's death in 1540, the company became a religious congregation of nuns living in convents. The Ursuline Sisters, the church's first teaching congregation of women, dedicated themselves to re-Christianizing family life through the solid Christian education of future wives and mothers. There's more.
Therefore, let anyone who thinks that he stands take heed lest he fall. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your strength, but with the temptation will also provide the way of escape, that you may endure it. God is always by our side. He gives us what we need. And now for our joke of the day. What kind of music do mummies like best? Of course, it's not that music, it's rap. Everybody have a great day.